So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 5 of the strongest heroes in the Overwatch League in my own personal opinion. Now, it's kind of hard to say who actually is the strongest 100% because you could argue one way or the other and use anecdotal match evidence. So I'm just going to say, at least in my own opinion, these are the ones that I feel like are doing the best and honestly have won their teams a lot of games. And with that said, let's get started. So I think I'm going to mention a lot in this video is organized competitive play, and I think that's exactly where Winston actually starts to show up as a strong character. Now, if you look at Winston in regular Season 9 competitive solo queue, he doesn't have that great of a win rate. I mean, it's not bad, but I think it's below 50%, and overall, people just haven't really been able to do dive way too well there. In regular competitive, we're seeing a lot of Reinhardt now, we're seeing a lot of Orisa, and even sometimes just 2 off tanks. But Winston is still good in the Overwatch League, and I think the reason for that is because, again, you can have an organized team, and I think that is what makes Winston just so much stronger in that sense. With Winston, if you know that you're playing with good players that can go in, that can target the enemy backline and get kills with you and help you get out safely, I think he becomes a much stronger pick. And as well, being able to position as Winston almost perfectly, as a lot of these players do, being able to get the combo where, you know, you jump on the enemy, you melee them, and then you shoot them pretty much 100% of the time, and using your shields always correctly without wasting them, I think is honestly extremely difficult, and most tank players can't pull it off, and most teams in regular solo queue don't have the coordination to do that at all, so dive meta has kind of been dying down a little bit. But in Overwatch League, while there have been some things that are hurting dive, of course, Winston still has shown up as a very potent, powerful pick, and while you might want to pick him on every single map in the entire game, the teams in the Overwatch League still are picking up this character quite often, which I think is kind of important. I mean, I guess it's still showing that dive is almost always going to work in there no matter what the meta is. Of course, you do have to watch because, you know, dive is very map specific, but when the map is correct, Winston can go in there and Winston can carry that team fight. So deciding where to put Sombre was kind of hard because Sombre, honestly, I think is extremely good, and if you look at any of the Overwatch League professionals, they've been complaining about her, saying that she's way too strong in competitive play, that when you play her with a team, she can just completely shut down the enemy tanks and make it anti-fun for them to do anything. She's just so dominant in the game. But the problem is that we haven't actually seen her in much Overwatch League games other than the Contenders League, which even hasn't been played way too much there, and I think the problem is that she hasn't had her new patch in the Overwatch League yet. They usually play a few patches behind, and Sombra hasn't showed up there. And I think that's why I can't say that she's way too great, I guess, in the Overwatch League yet, because we haven't seen her at full power. But even as it is, I think she can do pretty dang well. If you looked at the matches where she fits the map again and where she can play with her team, even without the buffs, she still is a competent character. But yeah, with the mini rework, I think it's pretty obvious that she's going to be a little more than a competent character in the next few months. Now, the question is, I guess, is her new nerfs gonna kind of outdo the new buffs? And I'm gonna say no. I think that she's still going to become much better in the league, be played a lot more in the league, and probably only really be played in the league. Because if you look at her with her play rates in competitive, yeah, most people aren't really playing her, and in lower ranks, she's still not that great. But again, when you have an organized team together that need to shut down the enemy tanks or just get a few nice picks on the enemy backline, or you just need to stop their abilities that are strong, Sombra can do all of that. And seeing that she fits now a lot better in the DPS slot and the fact that she counters a lot of DPS now, yeah, I think we're going to be seeing her a lot in the near future. And even right now, she's still a good pick. Zenyatta is kind of weird because whenever I watch a Overwatch League match, I always see Zenyatta in that match. And they always do some of the highest damage in the entire game. And considering that he's a support character, I think that's a very important part of his kit, and honestly a very important reason to pick him up. Just simply put, his frag potential. But even if you don't want to consider that, which is extremely high in the Overwatch League where everyone has super good aim and can do everything like that, I think he's still an important pick because of the Discord orb. Being able to make so that your Tracer or your Genji can kill someone in the enemy front line or back line a lot faster and have target prioritization like that that's actually working because you're playing with players that you play with quite often, I think that is an important part about him as well that only really works in the Overwatch League. While you can do some target prioritization with your Discord orb, for the most part, when you're playing in regular competitive matches, you're just going to be throwing at the most nearby person or at who your DPS is already attacking. But in the league, they actually do have decided targets to go after, which I think makes him a lot stronger. Now, another thing about him that I think is extremely important in the league is that Zenyatta actually has a counter ultimate that counters out most of the enemy ultimates in the entire game. And I think you can't really understate how powerful that is, because if you're playing in a match where you have some of the best players in the entire game, let's say you have like Shadowburn playing Genji, if you're against that, he has his ultimate up. I mean, what do you do if you have like a Mora and a Mercy? You just kind of ult, walk away, and hope that your teammates don't die. But with Zenyatta, you hit that ultimate button, and you're almost guaranteed that none of your teammates around you are going to die. And I think that alone, being able to counteract huge plays by the enemy, or be able to just push in with a huge player of your own as Zenyatta, is a great reason why he's so strong in the Overwatch League. And even though he might not be as strong as someone like Mora in competitive right now, in the league, I think all these factors put together make him a much more solid pick overall. Now, to Tracer, I mean, she's just been like the best character in the game for a long time, if you are extremely good at her. And obviously, if you're playing in the Overwatch League, I mean, if you're playing DPS, you are one of the best of the best. You're better than top 500 with a more coordinated team as well. And I think, yeah, it's pretty obvious that Tracer will work almost perfectly in that situation. I think the most important part about Tracer is that she can get picks by herself, but she can also help her team if needed, and she also has good synergy with dive comp, and she also has really good synergy with Zenyatta, and she works pretty well with, you know, even spam comp, because you can play around them, play with them, and she works pretty well against spam comp, and well against pretty much every comp in the game. I think that Tracer is just such a unique character that can do kind of just about everything at an okay level and do a lot of things at a great level, that being mobility and one clips. I think when you put that together and you add skill into the mix as well, Tracer does become one of the best characters in the game, if not the best character in the game, depending on what match you are playing on or what map you are playing on. Now, I'm going to say one thing about the Overwatch League Tracers that you have to kind of focus on if you want to see why they're so good, is their positioning and their movement. Being able to one-clip is an important thing as Tracer, having that aim, but I've heard from a lot of really good Tracer mains that you don't really need the best aim as Tracer to do well. You can have okay aim, but the important thing is being able to dodge abilities, be where you need to when you need to be there, and find good ways to position next to the enemies to actually kill them while taking the minimal amount of damage yourself. If you can learn how to do all of that, as a lot of these players do, well, you can carry a game. But it isn't stuff that really comes naturally, and I think it's stuff that takes a lot of time to go in and learn. I mean, you can just practice aiming as McCree, but you can't really practice that easily against bots or anything, learning where to position as Tracer. Again, that put together with everything else, I think makes so that she is a great character in the Overwatch League, and still a pretty good character in competitive, but probably a little bit better in the league. And finally, we have Deva, who is the best character in the Overwatch League, in my opinion, the best character in regular Overwatch competitive, in my opinion, right now. She's just overall a great character in the game. And if you look at stats-wise, she's the most played in both of those, has one of the highest win rates in both of those. Well, I guess the league is closer to 50% because she's played in almost every single game. But you can easily see just by play rates that Deva is a great pick. And I think the reason for that is because she can do just about everything. If you need a tank that can dive the enemy backline with a Winston, or that needs to just stop a really problematic enemy, well, Deva can do that. If you need a tank that can finish off kills while your teammates are just kind of dealing as much damage as they can with spam, well, Deva can do that as well. If you need an ultimate that can area denial, or that can get kills, or that can combo, well, Deva can do that. If you just need somebody that can protect your backline with defense matrix, Deva has that too. I think the thing about Deva is that she has so much in her kit, and all of it works so well with just about every team comp. And as well, it works well against just about every hero in the game. There's no super counter hero to Deva. I mean, even people like Reinhardt, who think would kind of counter her because, you know, you have the shield. It's not really how it works. Deva can go around and honestly stop any problems or create any solutions that you need on your team. And when you have an Overwatch League team that might need a slot to fill or need something in their team to be fixed, Deva can kind of be the remedy to that. Now, I think for a lot of players, this probably isn't the best solution because Deva is almost a must-pick in almost every single game, but I guess that's a good example of why she's such a strong hero in the Overwatch League and why you're seeing her all of the time. Personally, for me as a Deva player, I enjoy seeing her so much, but maybe she does need some nerfs because, yeah, she is kind of wrecking the league just by herself. But anyways, as always, guys, that is just my own personal opinion about the 5 strongest heroes in the Overwatch League. Now, do keep in mind that just because they are strong in the Overwatch League does not mean that they're always the best and competitive, especially Sombra. I mean, if you look at like gold, silver, and bronze, she's one of the worst characters in the game still, win rate rise. So please keep that in mind. But I just wanted to go over this today, and as well, remember, this is just my own opinion from watching the game, and some pro players, I'm sure, have different opinions, and if you can find those, that would be awesome to see as well. Anyways, as always, guys, though, thank you all for watching. Leave a comment if you did enjoy, or press that like button. Subscribe if you want to see videos like this in the future. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.